Hi guys, I'm Mike.
And I'm Ash.
And this is F1 Fanatics. So guys, it is a race weekend back. We are back for another race preview here, and it is one of my favourite, most picturesque ones on the F1 calendar. The night race at Singapore. Sparks are often flying off the cars on the street circuit. Obviously, like any street circuit, difficult for the overtakes, but that pole lap from Lewis Hamilton in 2018 was something spectacular.
It was.
But before we get going, just a couple of shout out to a couple of collaborations we've done. So we did a collaboration with Raz on F1. Those videos came out on Monday. One came out on our channel, which was about Kvyat or Albon, who will get the Red Bull seat in 2020, and then one went on his channel where we discussed what the Vettel situation is and what kind of the future holds for Sebastian Vettel. But yeah, really appreciate Raz giving us the time to do a collaboration, and yeah, really grateful to that.
And shout out to the guys over at Beyond the Grandstand, so Mark, Alex and Steph. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that video because of work, but I hope that we'll be able to do another collaboration with them at some point where I will be able to get involved and actually join the video, so it'll be good.
But yeah, guys, thanks for those so much. And if you are new to this channel, don't forget, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification, and keep up to date with all our latest content for more videos like this over a race weekend and just in general F1. But yeah, the only place for us to usually start a race preview, Ash, is for us to do our stats, isn't it?
It is.
And which means that I go first and I give the kind of classic race stats, and then you will give some more kind of circuit-based ones more, don't you?
Yeah.
Alright, so it is, its first race came in 2008. It is a 61 lap Grand Prix. It is a 5.063 kilometre circuit. God, kilometre. I mean, there have been some calamities in terms of mistakes and scandals at Singapore in the past. And also the lap record is held by someone probably you wouldn't expect. It was set by a Haas driver last year, and that was the Haas driver Kevin Magnussen, and it was a 1:41.9. So pretty impressive. And Ash, over to your stats.
As Mike said, first race in Singapore was in 2008 and is probably most famous for Crashgate. So Fernando Alonso managing to secure quite a controversial race win, to say the least. The circuit itself has got the most corners on the F1 calendar with 23. It was the first race to be held at night. And the surprising one is drivers usually lose around 3 kilos over the length of the race due to the humidity.
Yeah, it is certainly not one of the tracks that I would say drivers would say is their favourite one, because of the technical difficulty combined with the humidity conditions just makes it such a horrible race to kind of be all up in that race suit and just be so hot.
And the other one is all of the teams stay on European time. It's one of those weird ones because of how it falls in the calendar. They don't worry about getting themselves acclimatised to the time zone itself. So yeah, it's because of the following race being in Russia and having to be back on European time so quickly. But yeah, they stick with it. So breakfast in the afternoon.
Very weird. But yes, and so now the only way to kind of move on in our race preview, and that is Mike's Amateur Lap, where I go on, and first edition of this race preview, I had got the F1 2019 game now, and I have the Amateur Lap is on F1 2019, and I have done it in a Merc this time. And so guys, sit back and enjoy. Here it is. Hi guys, and welcome to Mike's Amateur Lap. And so we are here at Singapore, and of course had to be in Mercedes after that fantastic lap by Lewis Hamilton last year. And so guys, here we go, here's the lap, and then we sweep into the left hander into the right, and then the very slow left right-hander there to get a round. And this is very much a coasting circuit. You kind of almost feel you always want to be getting on the accelerator, but there is always a corner coming. It is, of course, the most technical circuit on the F1 calendar and has the most corners on the F1 calendar, as Ashley has said before. Sweeping through there, and then again another kind of quite tight down into two right-hander here, and like I said, you just get on the accelerator and then there's another left-hander there. You can see there's a shadow of some car's time I was meant to be beating. I was slow at this stage, oh no. And then deceptively quick corner go through there. Used to be a sharp left-right before going into this section of the track. Now we come across the bridge section before coming up to the really tight apex, and I go deep into the corner. Oh, it wouldn't be a Mike's Amateur lap without something amateur happening. And then across the bridge here, then a deceptively tight right-hander here. Really difficult corner to see actually because of the runoff track area as well. It's difficult to find the corner. And then this is the first of kind of a bit of a mirror part on the track before accelerating out, and then we come onto the tunnel section of the track. Went very slow into one there, speeding out, getting nice and tight to the walls, using the boundaries of those track. Again, this mirror set down into 2, accelerate 3, 4, 5, out, here we go, and then a quick one. You want to just brush the apex, coast around, and then get hard on the accelerator, getting on that DRS, and then across the line. Hope you enjoyed, guys. So there it is, guys. That is my F1 amateur lap guiding you around the streets of Singapore. Not the best. I think it was a 1:43, and I believe Hamilton's pole lap last year was in the 1:37 region. So a little bit of time to find there.
Yeah, but that lap last year was an impressive one, so...
Exactly, and I am Mike's amateur lap, so it needs to be amateur. I've got a reputation to uphold here, guys.
The only thing is, we can't do the nice little slide into... Oh, so, because we're on F1 2018...
I know.
Let's recap 2018.
Now we have to go. As it was F1 2019, we now need to take a step back in time and look at last year's race. So Ash, do you want to start us off with last year's race?
Yeah, very good race in terms of overtakes and battles throughout. Not without its controversy, as is usual at Singapore. And I think the first bit of controversy that we have to look at is the start itself, with the collision between the two Force Indias.
I believe they were still Force India at that point.
I think they were.
They might have been
Force India,
Racing Point, Force India
/ Racing Point. So yes, Esteban Ocon trying to go around the outside of Sergio Perez. Yeah, who do you think was at fault?
I think it was Checo.
Why can't we ever have something where we disagree?
Shall I make it easier? It was clearly Esteban Ocon's fault. No. He was young, he was rash. You know, Checo, he should have yielded to the experience of Checo.
No, it was a very silly move from Ocon to attempt going around the outside, but Perez definitely should have been able to have left him enough room in that situation.
We say it with how the Haas have done this year. The first rule within your team, don't collide with your teammate.
And then Sergio Perez, his race got much better, didn't it?
Oh, it certainly did, because he was then fighting a Williams later on in the race, that Williams of Sergei Sirotkin, and he had just taken around the outside, and then Sirotkin was fighting him back, and they were kind of wheel to wheel. Perez was just slightly ahead and then jinked in for kind of no real apparent reason other than I suppose he was unaware of where Sirotkin was, because you go to the middle of the track if you are defending the corner. But yeah, he got a puncture and his race was basically over. He mucked up Sirotkin's and his own race. Not Checo's finest moment, but the Force India's / Racing Points last year were constantly at each other because they were so desperate to secure that race seat for next season. And
then I think if we have a discussion about the biggest controversy, so the use of blue flags and whether or not you should listen to them.
Well, we had two drivers who didn't listen to them, and that was Roman Grosjean and, that man Sergei Sorokin again. And I think he was an unfortunate bystander in both instances, really. Yes, they were battling on track. It was Sorokin actually trailing, I think, and Grosjean defending the position. But basically, there was the race lead. Verstappen was hunting down Hamilton, and they both came up to Sorokin and Grosjean, and they were like, "Oh, I don't care about your guys' race for the lead. This is race for us on positions. No, we're not getting out of the way. We're going to carry on." And then obviously it brought Max right up the back of Hamilton, and yeah, was crazy to watch. And they both received 5-second penalties for their troubles.
And I don't know whether we would see it differently from Max this year, but he did come out after the race and say he could have made a move on Lewis Hamilton, but because of the fact that he had been held up so much by the two in front, he decided not to. Now,
he definitely tried to make a move on.
I was going to say, when you watch it, he definitely tried to make a move. Did he pull out of that? Maybe he didn't go in as hard as he potentially could have, but he was definitely trying to make a move.
100%. So maybe just trying to save face a little bit there, Max Verstappen, because it certainly would have been a controversial overtake if he was able to pull it off. And then so that was first and second, Hamilton securing the win and Verstappen not able to overtake him and securing second. Third place, Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah, he didn't really have too much going on in his race.
He, early at the start, was fighting Verstappen, then tried to get him on the undercut, and he almost did it, but wasn't able to seal the move, and then just fell away, really, and that was his race, just going around in third. Bottas was not Bottas 2.0 yet, and just had a bit of a nothing race in fourth. It shows that Vettel could do well there, and obviously Toto Wolff has come out this week and said that he thinks the Ferrari will be better here in Singapore than they will in Hungary, but that 2018 Ferrari is a lot better than I think this year's 2019 car, compared to its rivals at least, so I would be very surprised to see a Ferrari anywhere near the podium.
Well, they can only do better than they did in Hungary. They were over a minute off of the pace, so even if they do better than they did in Hungary, it still doesn't
50 seconds. Yeah,
it still doesn't bode well in terms of being able to challenge at the front.
Yeah. So, is anything else we want to kind of touch on from the 2018 race?
No, we've covered all of the main points there.
Perfect. Right. Well, then that moves us nicely on to looking ahead to this year's race. And I suppose main things to probably talk about, maybe the Haas and Rich Energy deal, as they have finally split ways.
They have, and it's been a long time coming, really, isn't it?
We were all expecting it. As soon as they said an announcement will be made by Singapore, I think everyone was expecting that announcement to be, it's over.
Yeah. But they've come out, shown the livery that they're going to be using, stuck with the black and the gold, which...
I mean, it just basically looks exactly the same car, just missing the Rich Energy sponsors.
Yeah.
So,
which... Not a surprise there.
No.
Middle of the season, not really the sort of thing you want to be working on.
Doesn't really make sense to kind of strip it. There's a whole marketing and design team that need to do that. They've got a whole memorabilia with kind of Haas shirts this year. They can't possibly kind of cash in on that.
Not at all. So, livery looks nice without having the logos on it, but for them, had to part ways. It was one of those things that was becoming more of a distraction than a benefit, so maybe now can focus on improving the car.
Yeah, and then looking ahead to another midfield team who had a very good Spa and Monza, and that is Racing Point, and they are bringing a whole new aero package to Singapore, a race that they probably would have done well in last year if they hadn't have had one driver putting one in the wall and then Checo just having a complete brain fart of a race, really. Yeah, I think with Racing Point it could be really good, and Lance Stroll has started off the second half of this season well. He would have had a very good points finish last week in Monza, bar Vettelgate incident. I think it's probably the best way to describe it. And Checo really has started off this second half of the season well. Since securing that new contract, actually. Really, it was announced pre-Spa, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, very good. I'd expect them to do well. Same, Ash?
I can see Lance Stroll having a good weekend. I think the one thing to look at is it's not a power-hungry circuit. So, in terms of qualifying, there's a good chance that the pack may be closed up, apart from cars where the aero's not at its peak. So, I would say in terms of cars that are battling each other, it will close up, but there will be clear gaps between, say, the big three and then going to, say, McLaren. But the McLaren and the Renault should be closer. Williams should, theoretically, close up to the pack itself. So,
fingers crossed for Williams. Nobody likes to see them the distance that they've been at Spa. But Monza wasn't too bad with George Russell, so that was all right. I think probably we'll move away from the midfield a little bit and look probably for race winners this weekend. And luckily we do disagree on this. And I can't really see past Mercedes being dominant. I think it's still too early for Alex Albon to be challenging the Mercedes, but I reckon he might beat one, if not both Ferraris this weekend. And I'm going to put Max Verstappen splitting the Mercedes in second.
I think Max is going to have a fantastic weekend, and I expect the race win for him. The Red Bull in terms of aero performance is brilliant, and as I said, power-wise, the circuit isn't that hungry for it, so it gives them that opportunity to take that step in front of the Mercedes. I do agree that I don't think Albon is ready to push Bottas and Hamilton, but I would definitely expect him to be beating both Ferraris. I'm not expecting.
Both Ferraris.
Yeah, I'm not expecting great things from Ferrari this weekend.
I don't think anyone is, apart from Toto Wolff apparently, but he always seems to pick up Ferrari every weekend. Don't write him off. Don't just because he likes to play down Mercedes.
I was going to say, I think it's more the fact he works in a way. It's like a manager with a football team, playing down your chances so that the pressure's not on your team as much. So by him saying don't write off the Ferraris, it's then if there is a surprise,
yeah.
Well, I told you.
Yeah, and then we say Toto Wolff. Wow, what more sightseeing things? What 4 sightseeing things can you do? But yeah, I expect, obviously Red Bull haven't had the greatest of races in Spa and Monza. I'd expect them to be pushing that top end for podiums now and for the rest of the season, because we both think now the rest of the tracks really do suit their package. And that Spec 4 upgrade does really look like Honda have made big steps towards the Mercedes and Ferrari's engine. Obviously not in straight line ultimate speed, but certainly for the rest of the circuit.
No, and in all honesty, I don't think they're going to get close in terms of that out-and-out straight line speed, mainly because of that aero package. Red Bull as a team, it has always been the aero as the focus for what generates their speed. So unless there's a complete change of philosophy at Red Bull, the out-and-out straight line speed isn't necessarily going to come as easily to them. And it works for them. It's one of those where Ferrari always go for that out-and-out pace. It works for them as a philosophy. So, as we say, they've built a car that's designed for many tracks this season, and this second half is where I feel like they're going to generate some big points. Yeah,
and they've certainly, if they weren't already, overtaken development on Ferrari. I think another team who will do well in the midfield, I think McLaren will do well. I think obviously they've had a poor couple of weekends in Spa and Monza, but not really to their fault in terms of, obviously Lando was running in P5 before retiring on the last lap, and Carlos Sainz was running in P6, probably might have even challenged Hulkenberg. He was certainly fighting him in the race before that wheel wasn't put on properly and he had to retire from the race as well. But I fully expect McLaren's to really do well here.
I agree. I think they're going to do well. I just have a feeling that battle is going to be the one to watch. McLaren and Renault, I would say Renault have come back from the summer break and it is almost like it's a completely different team. So I can see that now being the close battle for the rest of the season, and it's who can be able to take advantage the most.
Exactly. McLaren have been kind of quietly confident in things, and Cyril has come out with the fighting talk as what he needs to with Renault, and saying that the 4th place is an achievable position to catch, but obviously they do need to maximise their results when they are having a good performance, which they haven't done in the first half of the season, and they also need to get their strategy calls right.
Yeah, there's been a few odd decisions, but it definitely is still doable, because the one thing we've said with Renault is their reliability was the issue. So if they can make sure that they maintain that throughout the rest of the season, then they're on par with the McLaren. So in terms of performance, they are there or thereabouts. It has been the reliability that's been the issue. So as long as they get that sorted, I can see there being a good battle to the end of the season.
Yeah. So I think that probably rounds up probably quite nicely. I don't think really expect anything too much from Alfa, Haas or Williams, obviously. In the race, Giovinazzi, Kimi might do something well. He's an experienced driver, and if he qualifies well in Q3, could be able to get a good point score, but other than that, I don't really see anything from those 3 teams. No. So then it probably moves us on to our ranking rookie order.
Yeah, we can do that one first.
Right, well, we'll go for the ranking rookie order. And would you like to go first, or do you want me to go first?
You can go first.
Number 1, I'm going to put Alexander Albon. I am going to back him to have a strong performance here. I just think he will do quite well, and this is the first track that suits the Red Bull, and I'm going to expect him to kind of reap the rewards of that benefit. Lando Norris is going to come in number 2, although I think he may find it difficult. Like Albon, the only thing against them, I don't think they've driven at Singapore there, because the F2 circuit doesn't cover it, does it, on the calendar? So yeah, they may struggle there, but I'm going to back them to be 1 and 2. 3 is going to be Giovinazzi. Like we said, don't think Alfa Romeo are going to get up to too much this weekend. And 4, sorry George, we are big fans, we do like you, but yeah, the Williams just hasn't made as much improvements, and all the positivity that was coming from its improvements just before the summer break, they are still just so far off in the past 2 races.
So it's going to sound a little bit repetitive, but Alexander Albon, number 1. As I said, I do think he is going to be finishing above both Ferraris. So for him, that is a fantastic result and will end up being his highest finish in F1. Lando Norris, you just expect that McLaren to be in and around the battle for best of the rest. So for him, if he can beat one of the Renaults, he's had a good weekend, I think, based on the battle for best of the rest in the Constructors' Championship. This is where I go a little bit different though. George Russell going to be number 3. Just because the fact of the power not being a requirement, it does seem as if Williams have got some of their aero issues that they had at the very beginning of the season sorted. So the car itself it's not looking as if they're having to battle the car to get it around the circuit now. So I've got a feeling that he might be able to pull out something a little bit spectacular. Don't know what that would... Well, actually, spectacular for Williams would be a Q2 performance and finishing in the points. I don't think it's going to go that far, but I can see him having a good weekend.
Exciting ahead.
And I just don't think that Alpha's going to perform this weekend. So unfortunately, Giovinazzi is going to be just dropping into that number 4 spot based on the car's ability, not his.
And that moves us on nicely to our ones to watch, and so we'll give a ones to watch on the driver front and on the constructors front. Ashley, do you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, I can do. And I'm going to say Daniel Kvyat being the one to watch for the driver's side of things. As we know, Toro Rosso have got very close links with Red Bull in terms of car design.
We didn't even mention Toro Rosso before, but now we mention it.
But I just feel as if there's going to be that opportunity for him to sneak into the points and get quite a good finish for Toro Rosso this weekend. And he's going to be just below the Renaults and the McLarens, I think. So maybe pushing into the points.
My ones to watch is going to be Alexander Albon. Like I said, I don't think he will compete with the Mercedes, but it's going to be really interesting. If he can get a really strong 4th place finish and finish ahead of both those Ferraris, I think considering it's his only 3rd race within the Red Bull, that would be a fantastic achievement. So he's going to be my one to watch driver.
And my team is going to actually stick with what I said last weekend. It's going to be Racing Point again. Complete new aero package. Sergio Perez, been consistent throughout the season, out driving the car for where it is, and Lance Stroll coming into it with confidence for his start of the second half of the season, and knowing that he should have got a points finish last weekend had circumstances not gone against him.
Exactly. And for me, my ones to watch, we've spoken about it. It kind of maybe isn't ones to watch in terms of a surprise pick. It is just McLaren. I think obviously after not getting big points finishes or doing particularly well the previous 2 weekends with double retirement in Spa and obviously 1 retirement in Monza and Lando, struggling in Monza, but still picking up 1 point at the end there. I'm going to back him to have a very strong points finish here. I could see it even as high as 6th and 7th from there.
Okay, and that would move us on to the best part, the bit where we get to have a little bit of fun. Our 3 out there predictions as to something we're going to see across this weekend.
Cool.
Do you want to go first?
Sure, let's go first. I'm going to go with first one. Pierre Gasly is going to beat Daniel Kvyat. I have been a big fan of Daniel Kvyat. He's had very strong performance. He will be frustrated from last week's Monza, and that may play in his hands and might try too hard. And Pierre Gasly has looked to rebuild confidence. He has quietly gone about his business, and they've been solid performances in the Toro Rosso. So I'm going to back him to beat Daniel Kvyat this weekend. My second out there / crazy prediction is that George Russell will finish above a car that is not just Robert Kubica, which
he's done that a few times now.
He's done that a few times, and he's done it at Monza, but he's going to finish his closest to the points that he has ever been.
12th, wasn't it?
Yeah, so 11th.
Okay.
God, that is bold. Now you say it out loud, it does seem bold. And maybe as a spiteful one, if it hasn't been announced, the Haas seat for next year, I'm going to back Nico Hülkenberg in a aim to impress to beat Daniel Ricciardo this weekend.
Okay. Yours aren't as out there as mine.
Alright.
Because you know what's coming with mine.
No, I don't. This is one time that me and Ashley actually did try and discuss something pre-recording rather than just going, we'll record and see what happens.
So, I've been bold, and I think that neither Ferrari are going to finish in the top 6. So there's the highest finishing Ferrari will be 7th or lower. I've gone even bolder because I've gone for Sebastian Vettel being given a race ban. It's on the cards at some point if he makes a mistake. I can see it being this weekend.
If it's going to happen, I see it happening here more than Sochi.
Yeah, that's the reason. That's the only reason I'm really going for it. If he is going to get a race ban, it's this weekend, and might as well get that prediction in there now because it's not going to be available very often. So we'll go for that. And then the third one. Now, if you go back in time through Singapore, we've had some very eventful pit stops, be it fuel hoses being dragged down the pit lane. Runaway tyres, we've had that as well in Singapore.
It's always a fun sight to see.
And then obviously we have, like last year, where you end up with cars coming out into turn 2 from the pit lane. So I see an incident within a pit stop. So that is from pit entry to pit exit. Something will happen within that area.
See, look, there you've got it, guys. You've got me, who in terms of covered, out there predictions, some kind of random finishing positions, and with Ashley, you've got random incidents that are carnage, absolute carnage in Singapore.
Well, there's always got something controversial.
Yeah.
We've had absolute carnage in terms of the 2017 race start.
I mean, that is the carnage of carnage.
So, yeah, why not?
Exactly, this is the whole reason why we split the predictions up. So our F1 Play predictions weren't hamstrung by our completely outlandish predictions in this section of the preview. Because, yeah, we tend to just go, wow, what could happen?
What would make the race interesting?
Well, it certainly would make the race interesting, your instance, Ash. Completely crazy. But yeah, anything else to add?
No, I think we've covered everything for this race
guys,
weekend.
I think that is another race preview for you guys finished. So don't forget, if you like this video, let us know. Give us a thumbs up below.
Make sure to press the subscribe button so that our videos go into your YouTube inbox, and if you click on the bell note icon, then you'll get a notification when one of our videos goes live, and you can join us for the race weekend.
And, oh yeah, that is probably a good point to notice. We'll be going live this race weekend for the first time in both qualifying and in our race reaction. So join us straight after qualifying and the race to kind of get our reaction of what has unfolded in the race weekend.
Well, joining you for qualifying.
Me for qualifying, both of us for Sunday. But yeah, get involved in the comments below. Let us know what you think. You can give us your rookie order. You can give us your ones to watch. You can give us...
Try and be more bold than me in your predictions.
Yeah, I mean, that is a challenge for you guys. But yeah, just comment anything, what you like in terms of, are you looking forward to this race in Singapore? Again, a massive thank you to Beyond the Grandstand and Raz on F1 for giving us the opportunity for those opportunity for those collaborations. Guys, go and check out those channels if you haven't already. They are kind of both really great channels, like I said, really adding to the F1 community. But yeah, there is only one way to round off an F1 Fanatics video, and that is you F1 fans, keep racing. Hi guys, thanks for watching the video today. Hope you've been enjoying the content that we've been putting out. Like we say, don't forget, if you are new around here, you can subscribe to the channel by clicking here. And maybe check out some of our other videos we've done on the channel. We'll have one up here and one down here. As always guys, thanks for watching.